You have thousands of transits that affect you throughout your life. But there are 6 transits that hit you heavier than the others. Today, I'm telling you which transits turn your world upside down and which astrological events can impact some of the most difficult and challenging times you go through throughout your life. Before I dive into my list of the 6 most important transits to look out for in your life, I just want to explain what is a transit to those who don't know. We are all born with our initial birth charts, and that indicates where the planets were the time we came into this world. The celestial bodies continue their movement, and they don't just stay in the place they were when we were born. So this relationship between their movement and where they're at a particular time of point, in relation to where our natal planets are, is what we would call astrological transits. Some transits we experience come along more often, whereas other transits are much more rare than others. The ones that are more rare tend to bring us at a turning point and really affect us at particular times of our lives. The first transit that hits you hard is your Saturn return. Your Saturn return occurs between the ages of 27 and 29. During this period, Saturn completes its orbit around the Sun and returns to the same position it occupied at the time of your birth. As Saturn starts to approach your natal position, you start to feel a much more stronger sense of responsibility and pressure in your life. Saturn essentially pushes you to start evaluating all the different parts of your life a lot more critically. So you let go of a more immature way of thinking, and this is when a lot of us start maturing a lot more. You will end up really questioning your overall direction in life and where you're at in terms of your career, your relationships, how you spend your free time. And it really is a time of strong self-reflection, but also a time where a lot of us can go through self-doubts. Because Saturn is very strongly related to how we create structure in our life, and because of that, it's related to our work and our career, a Saturn return lets you really analyze whether the work you're doing and the path you're involved with professionally really aligns with your values. And is it really meaningful to you or in this world? Often this is a time where a lot of you can end up leaving a job that you feel might not be in alignment with your true essence, and you can also take on much more responsibilities as you get a more clear vision of the path you need to follow to achieve long-term success. It's really a good time to actually start laying the groundwork for the future and to actually start setting particular goals you want to achieve within the next, say, 5 to 10 to 20 years. Because if you start working on these things around the time of your Saturn return, you might be able to do exactly what it takes in order for these goals to actualize. But when you avoid integrating a sense of accepting responsibility more in your life during this time, things can become much more difficult for you, especially 5, 10, 20 years down the line, because there has been no foundation created. There has been no stability in your life. You're also seeking out much more committed and mature relationships when you start entering your first Saturn return. And when you see that relationships really just don't bring a lot of growth or a lot of good things into your life, you will actually start distancing yourself from those people during your first Saturn return. The effects of the Saturn return is often felt the most strongly in the house and sign where Saturn is placed in your natal chart. So if your Saturn is in the 10th house of career and public image, you might expect significant career shifts or a strong push to establish yourself professionally during this time in particular. The Saturn return is divided into 3 main phases. The first phase is the approach, which occurs generally around ages 27 to 28. As Saturn nears its natal position, you may start feeling restless or dissatisfied with aspects of your life that no longer serve you. Then the second stage is the exact return, which occurs around the age of 29. This is when Saturn precisely aligns with its natal position, and a lot of major life events and decisions can occur during this time. And then we have the separation, which is the last phase. This occurs during the ages of 29 to 30. As Saturn moves past its natal position, you begin integrating integrating the lessons learned, and you also implement the changes that you need to make. The structures and decisions you put in place during your Saturn return will form the foundation of the next 3 decades of your life. By approaching this transit with awareness and intention, you can use its energy to create a more authentic, fulfilling life aligned with your true self. The second most important transit is Pluto square Pluto. The Pluto square Pluto transit usually occurs around your late 30s. In mythology, Pluto, or Hades, is the god of the underworld, associated with hidden depths, intense experiences, and the cycle of death and rebirth. Pluto's influence will bring big changes, and it will unearth buried aspects of your psyche, and it also catalyzes really strong life transitions at this point. When Pluto squares itself, the attention is directed inward. So this transit creates an incredibly strong internal struggle between the established patterns in our life and our need for transformation and our ability to be authentic. You start feeling the effect of this transit around your late 30s. And this is a time when many of us have already established careers, relationships, and strong foundations for ourselves. However, the Pluto square Pluto is a transit where it forces you to look at what you have created and whether that truly aligns with your authentic calling or your authentic purpose. This transit is part of a larger astrological cycle. It follows the Saturn return, which occurs around the age of 29 to 30, which marks the entry into full adulthood, and then precedes the Uranus opposition, which occurs around the age of 40 to 42, which is associated with a midlife awakening. As such, Pluto square Pluto can be seen as a preparatory phase, breaking down outdated structures and beliefs to pave the way for significant shifts that occur in the early 40s. The effect of this transit is typically felt over a period of 2 to 3 years, with the exact square occurring multiple times due to Pluto's retrograde motion. This extended period allows for gradual unfolding of the transformative process, often involving cycles of crisis, reflection, and integration. Pluto square Pluto serves an incredibly vital purpose in your personal evolution. It's a transit that pushes you towards much greater authenticity. It's a transit that allows you to empower yourself and to realign yourself with your true purpose and to actually realize it. This is often why many of us would say that the midlife crisis occurs during this age. It can be an incredibly difficult process, but if you can embrace the transformative energy of this particular transit and what it brings to you, you will emerge with a much deeper understanding of yourself, as well as have a much more renewed purpose and direction in life. The Pluto square Pluto is also essentially preparing you to be able to embody the shift of consciousness that will occur during the Uranus opposition, which is another important transit, which I will get into just now. The third most important transit to look out for is Neptune square Neptune. This transit often coincides with or follows closely after the Pluto square Pluto transit. This period is called the fog of life due to its characteristic effect on perception, spirituality, and life direction. During this transit, Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and spiritual transcendence, forms a 90-degree angle to its natal position in your birth chart. This alignment creates a tension between your ideals and reality, often manifesting as a period of great confusion and uncertainty. When Neptune squares itself, the tension is directed inwards, manifesting as an internal struggle between your ideals and the practical realities of your life. This transit often overlaps with or follows the Pluto square Pluto transit, which occurs around 36 to 39, and precedes the Uranus opposition, which occurs around ages of 40 to 20. So as such, Neptune square Neptune can be seen as a transitional phase, and this is when you're dissolving incredibly rigidly held structures and beliefs, and you allow yourself to pave the way for more spiritual growth and enlightenment. You will feel the effects of this transit over a period of 2 to 3 years. The exact square can occur multiple times due to Neptune's retrograde motion. So this extended period essentially allows for a gradual unfolding of the spiritual awakening process. And you will go through many cycles of disillusionment, inspiration, and integrating new spiritual teachings. However, one of the key challenges of this transit is discerning reality from illusion. Neptune's influence can make it difficult to see situations clearly, leading to potential deception, both self-deception and deception by others. During this transit, you might explore new spiritual paths or deepen your existing spiritual practice. For many, it's also a period of great mystical experiences and insights. But it's also important to approach any new spiritual teachings learned during this time with a balance of openness and discernment. However, despite this transit's reputation for creating confusion and uncertainty, it acts as a dissolvent, softening your long-held rigid beliefs and structures to allow for greater spiritual awareness and compassion. This process can be incredibly disorienting for many of us, but those who embrace the energy of this transit will often emerge with a deeper connection to their inner selves and the world around them. But this period of confusion and disillusion is essentially preparing you for a more authentic and spiritually aligned life path. The next transit that is very important is the Uranus opposition. The Uranus opposition is a transit that occurs when transiting Uranus forms a 180-degree angle to its natal position in your birth chart. This happens only once in a lifetime, usually between the ages of 42 and 44, marking the midpoint of Uranus's 84-year orbit around the Sun. At its core, this transit represents a clash between your established identity and the person who you're actually meant to become. Uranus comes in and brings great change, liberation, and forces you to embody authenticity. During this opposition, its disruptive energy is greatly amplified. This means that this actually creates a powerful space for inner transformation, but it's not without its challenges. This transit essentially awakens you to the parts of your life that have become inauthentic, or how you have become inauthentic. It can be an incredibly difficult time for many people as they come to realize how they have strayed from their authentic voice and their authentic hearts. This transit is seen as the culmination of the transformative process that began with the Pluto square Pluto and continued through the Neptune square Neptune. Those transits represented the breakdown of all structures and the dissolution of illusions. And the Uranus opposition is the lightning strike of clarity that follows. This transit represents a profound and incredible shift in your consciousness. It really shatters any unserving and outdated illusions and beliefs that you hold about yourself and the world. This transit is also said to be an initiation into the second half of life. It marks the shift from going from living according to societal expectations or any kind of illusion that you've created in your life to actually shifting into a space where you can embrace your unique individuality and your purpose. It's a time where a lot of us will let go of the shame we hold about many different parts of who we really are and will become less attached to our ego, our form, or just the illusion that we're creating. And it's more about actually just being our true selves. This transit pushes you to really shed the persona that you have created over the first 4 decades of your life. Often, a lot of you can be shocked with the crazy things that occur during this time because the direction that your life gets shifted in is really not what you expected. But that's really the nature of Uranus. It brings crazy experiences and changes in order to connect you with your true individuality. The 5th most important transit to look out for is your Chiron return. The Chiron return occurs around the age of 50, when Chiron returns to its original position in your birth chart. This event marks a time of focusing on healing, wisdom, and the integration of life experiences. Chiron orbits between Saturn and Uranus, taking approximately 50 years to complete its cycle. Chiron represents our deepest wounds and our capacity to heal. It embodies the archetype of the wounded healer, the one who has the power to heal others precisely because of their own woundedness. So the Chiron return is essentially a call to confront and heal your core life wound. This wound is not just a personal injury or trauma. It is a profound, often unconscious pain that has shaped your life experiences, your relationships, and your personal growth. It's the tender spot in your psyche that you've either been avoiding or attempting to heal throughout your life. During this transit, the issues symbolized by Chiron's placement in your natal chart really come into great focus in your life. This return creates a really powerful resonance between your present self and the core wound that you have been carrying since birth. The Chiron return allows you to gain deeper insight into your pain, to really understand its roots, and to finally begin the process of true and actual healing. The Chiron return is not just about facing old wounds, it's also about transmuting them into wisdom and healing power. It really marks a transition point where you have the potential to shift from being primarily shaped by your wounds to becoming a source of healing for others. But most importantly, the Chiron return does not indicate automatic healing. Instead, it really provides a window of opportunity. It is a time where the veil between your conscious self and your core wound becomes thinner. And this really allows for deeper understanding of the source and how to process your pain. How you engage with this transit and this energy will significantly impact your journey throughout the second half of your life. And then the last most important transit to look out for is your second Saturn return. The second Saturn return occurs between the ages of 56 and 58 as Saturn completes its second 29-year orbit since your birth. This event is marked by a significant rite of passage into the third act of life, symbolizing a period of deep reflection, reassessment, and potential restructuring of your life purpose, your achievements, and your legacy. This often coincides with major life transitions such as approaching retirement, changes in family dynamics, like becoming grandparents or children leaving the house, or shifts in your personal and professional goals. The second Saturn return brings a sense of urgency to consolidate life experiences into wisdom and to assure that your life is aligned with its deepest values and purposes. It's when the weight of accumulated years pressures upon you, demanding a thorough review of life choices, accomplishments, and unfulfilled aspirations. There's often a very strong awareness of the finite nature of life and a desire to make the remaining years count in meaningful ways. This can manifest as a push towards suddenly wanting to complete long-held goals, mending important relationships, or contributing to society in ways that will outlast your physical presence. The second Saturn return also pushes a lot of people towards mentorship and sharing of their wisdom. Many of us will feel a call to really pass what we know and to pass our knowledge onto others during this time. This can mean that a lot of you will take up formal teaching or mentoring roles. You might start writing memoirs or books, potentially even just journaling your thoughts more, and just generally being much more intentional about the advice and the guidance that you give to the younger generation. Physically, this transit also brings a lot of noticeable changes in your body, and it really requires you to pay much more attention to your health and well-being. The consequences of your earlier lifestyle choices become very apparent during your second Saturn return. So in essence, this is really a time where you just want to consolidate all of your life experiences into a meaningful legacy. So the difference between the Saturn returns is that the first return marks the transition into full adulthood, often with a focus on establishing your career, your relationships, and your adult responsibilities. The second return, however, focuses on legacy, wisdom sharing, and preparing for later stages of life. This is also when you have a wealth of life experience to draw upon. The first return is a lot more difficult than the second return for many people, as it brings uncertainty and the pressure to figure life out. The second return, however, is approached with much greater wisdom for many, and it brings a clear understanding of your values and priorities. So those are your top 6 transits to look out for in your lifetime. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Are you currently going through any of these transits, or have you gone through any of them and have anything that you can share? Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and check the links in the description to this video to see my website, my socials, and what I have been up to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.